Kale had always dreamed of the stars. Growing up on Earth, surrounded by endless oceans and tall cities, the sky above was never enough. His fascination with space began when he was a child, and by the time he had become an adult, he had joined the ranks of the elite explorers of the galaxy. He became a captain of a ship that traversed vast distances, searching for new life, new civilizations, and sometimes new problems to solve. His mission today was no different. He had arrived at the lush, mysterious planet Valera, an undiscovered world teeming with life but shrouded in secrets. Little did he know that his visit to this world would lead him on a journey that would test not only his skills as an explorer, but his very understanding of what it meant to be human. The moment his feet touched the soil of Valera, Kale felt a rush of energy. It wasn't the kind of energy he was used to from the ship's engines or even the power of distant stars. It was something more ancient, something he couldn't quite explain. The air was thick with the scent of alien flowers, and the dense forest stretched far beyond the horizon. The sky above was alive with swirling colors, making Kale pause in awe. He had seen countless planets, but none like this. It felt alive. His team was stationed just behind him, preparing their equipment and scanning for signs of the Valari people, the rumored intelligent species that inhabited this strange planet. However, Kale couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. As he stepped forward, the trees seemed to part, revealing a tall figure standing at the edge of the clearing. She was like nothing he had ever seen before. Zara, the Valari woman, was a creature of elegance. Her skin shimmered like silver under the light of the twin suns, and her long hair flowed like liquid silk. Her eyes were a pale violet, almost glowing, and they pierced through Kale as if she could see straight into his soul. She stood tall, her posture regal and commanding. Despite her beauty, there was an undeniable force around her, a presence that made Kale feel both small and awestruck at the same time. The moment their eyes met, Kale felt an inexplicable connection. It was as if they had known each other for centuries, though they had just met. Zara's lips curled into a playful smile as she stepped forward, her movements fluid and graceful. The sound of her soft, musical voice broke the silence between them. "What do you seek, human?" she asked, her tone teasing, yet laden with a strange kind of challenge. Her words hung in the air like a riddle, waiting for him to respond. Kale was momentarily taken aback, unsure of how to answer. The question was simple, but it carried a weight he wasn't prepared for. What did he seek? He wasn't just here for exploration or to make contact. There was something more in the way he felt about this planet, about her. But what was it? He swallowed hard, looking into her violet eyes, as if searching for something that could give him the answer. The longer he stared, the more he realized that Zara wasn't just a native of this planet. She was the key to something far greater, something he didn't fully understand yet. And deep inside, he felt an undeniable pull towards her, something he couldn't explain. He opened his mouth to speak but found the words hard to form. His usual confidence seemed to falter under her gaze. She was different, unlike anyone he had ever met. Her presence commanded respect, but there was also a warmth beneath her cool exterior. Something about her drew him in, as if she was the missing piece of a puzzle he had been trying to solve his entire life. I seek," Kale began, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain this feeling? How could he articulate what he was experiencing? Before he could finish his sentence, Zara interrupted him, her smile widening slightly. "You seek what all humans seek," she said cryptically, "but you do not know it yet." Kale frowned, confused. What was she talking about? He wasn't like the other humans who came to explore or conquer. He wasn't here for power or wealth. He was here to discover, to understand. But her words made him question everything he thought he knew. She tilted her head, her gaze never leaving his. "You seek connection, human," she continued, her voice soft but firm. "You seek to belong to something greater than yourself." Kale didn't know how to respond to that. He had never thought about his purpose in those terms before. He was a space explorer and adventurer. But now, in the presence of Zara, everything felt different. There was something about her, about Valara, that made him feel like he had found a place where he truly belonged. But what did it mean? And why did it feel like she knew him better than he knew himself? As he stood there, lost in thought, Zara took a step closer, her eyes locked onto his. There was a glimmer of something in her gaze, something he couldn't quite place. She spoke again, her words laced with both mystery and certainty. "You are not here by accident, Kale," she said. "You have been called here just as I have been waiting for you." Her words struck him like a thunderbolt. How did she know his name? Had someone told her? Or was this some kind of cosmic coincidence? He opened his mouth to ask, but she raised a finger to her lips, silencing him before he could speak. "There is much you do not understand, but you will," she said softly, her voice now a mere whisper in the wind. "For now, you must trust in what you feel and in me." Kale was overwhelmed by the weight of her words. He had come to this planet expecting to find an alien species, but now he realized he had stumbled upon something far more profound. The connection between him and Zara was undeniable, and though he didn't understand it, he knew deep down that it was real. But why had he been called here? And what did she mean when she said she had been waiting for him? Before he could process everything, Zara stepped back, her eyes glinting with a knowing smile. "You seek me, Kale," she said, her voice teasing once more, "and I will reveal to you what you are destined to find. But first, you must decide what you are willing to give." Kale stared at her, his heart pounding in his chest. What was she asking? What did he have to give? With every passing second, the questions mounted, but one thing became clear. His journey had only just begun. And the answers he sought were entwined with the mysterious woman before him. He knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges, but he also knew that Zara was the key to unlocking a future he could never have imagined. And so, as the winds of Valara whispered through the trees, Kale made a decision. He stepped forward, closing the distance between them. As he looked into Zara's eyes, he whispered the words he had been holding back for so long. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Kale stood facing Zara, still trying to absorb everything she had just said. Her words echoed in his mind, growing louder with each passing moment. "You are not here by accident, Kale. You have been called here just as I have been waiting for you." What did she mean by that? How could she have known his name, let alone the feelings stirring inside him? She had spoken with such certainty, as if their paths were destined to cross long before they ever met. Kale had been trained to think logically, to approach problems with reason and precision. But this feeling inside him, the deep pull he felt when he looked into her eyes, defied everything he had ever learned. Zara remained silent for a moment, watching him with an intensity that made Kale feel as if she could see through him. It wasn't just her alien beauty that captivated him, though that was part of it. It was the air of mystery that surrounded her. She was so unlike anyone he had ever encountered. She wasn't just a native of Valara, she was a part of the planet, a being whose very presence seemed to resonate with the world around her. "Why did you come here?" Zara asked, breaking the silence. Her voice was soft, but there was an undercurrent of something powerful in her words. Kale hesitated. He had asked himself that very question since he set foot on Valara. He had come here on a mission, to explore, to make contact, to learn more about this mysterious world. But now, with Zara standing before him, the mission seemed insignificant. It felt like there was something greater at play, something far beyond the scope of his training or his understanding. "I came to explore," Kale said, though the words felt hollow now. "To learn about your people, about your planet." Zara nodded, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You seek knowledge, yes, but knowledge alone is not enough, Kale. There is something deeper that calls to you, something that you have yet to understand." Kale's heart quickened at her words. He had felt it, this undeniable connection between them. It was like a thread binding them together, a force pulling him toward her, toward something he couldn't explain. But he needed answers. He needed to know why he felt this way. "I don't understand," Kale admitted. "What do you mean?" Zara stepped closer, her presence so magnetic that it was hard for Kale to focus on anything else. She reached out, gently placing a hand on his chest just over his heart. The touch was light, but it sent a shockwave through him, a feeling that was both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. "Your heart knows what your mind cannot yet grasp," Zara said, her voice a whisper, barely audible over the soft rustling of the trees. "The connection we share, Kale, it is not by chance. It is ancient, and you are the key." Kale felt a surge of energy at her words, his pulse racing as he tried to make sense of what she was saying. He had spent his entire life exploring the unknown, but nothing had ever felt like this. This wasn't just an alien world, and she wasn't just an alien being. This was something far more profound. Zara's fingers lingered for a moment longer before she withdrew her hand, her gaze never leaving Kale's. "The Valari are not just a species. We are the keepers of something far greater, something that the universe has long forgotten. We were chosen long ago to protect the balance of the galaxy, to ensure that the ancient powers do not fall into the wrong hands." Kale frowned, trying to absorb her words. The Valari were ancient, she had said, but what were these powers she spoke of? What did it have to do with him? Zara seemed to sense his confusion. "The galaxy is full of forces, Kale, forces that cannot be controlled by any one species. We, the Valari, have protected these forces for millennia, guarding them from those who would use them for their own gain. But there is something you need to know, something that has been hidden from you for your entire life." She paused, as if weighing her next words carefully. Then, in a voice filled with quiet resolve, she continued, "You are not just an explorer, Kale. You are the descendant of an ancient lineage, a lineage that is intertwined with the Valari. Your blood holds the key to unlocking the ancient powers that lie dormant within this planet." Kale blinked, stunned by her revelation. He had always known that humanity had a rich history, full of mysteries and untold stories. But to think that his own bloodline was tied to an alien species, that he had some kind of connection to the ancient forces she spoke of, it was almost too much to comprehend. How is that possible?" Kale asked, his voice shaky with disbelief. "I'm just a human. How could I have any connection to your people?" Zara smiled, but it wasn't a smile of amusement. It was one of knowing, of a truth that had long been hidden. "The truth is more complicated than you realize. Your ancestors, long before the rise of modern humanity, were once part of a great alliance, an alliance that spanned the stars. But over time, as civilizations rose and fell, the connection between our peoples was forgotten." She turned away for a moment, her eyes scanning the distant horizon, as if looking at something far beyond the planet they stood on. "The prophecy speaks of one who would come from the stars, a human whose bloodline would unlock the dormant power of the Valari. And now, Kale, that prophecy is coming to life. You are that one." Kale felt a rush of emotions, fear, excitement, confusion, all swirling inside him. He had always believed that his destiny was to explore the stars, to seek out new worlds and civilizations. But now it seemed that his purpose was far greater than he could have ever imagined. "But why me?" he asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. "What makes me so special? I'm just a man, a soldier, a captain of a ship." Zara turned back to face him, her violet eyes filled with both compassion and sorrow. "You may be just a man, Kale, but you are also more than that. The connection between us, between you and the Valari, runs deeper than blood. It is written in the stars. Your presence here was foretold long ago, and now it is time for you to fulfill your destiny." Kale stood there, staring at her, his mind racing with 1,000 questions. His life had been one of exploration and discovery, but this This was something entirely different. He was part of something far larger than himself, a part of a story that had been written long before he was born. Zara's words continued to echo in his mind as he tried to make sense of everything. The connection between them, the prophecy, the ancient powers, was it all real? And what did it mean for him, for humanity, for the galaxy? Zara stepped closer again, this time reaching out to touch his hand. Her touch was soft, but it carried an undeniable weight. "You must come with me, Kale," she said, her voice low and steady. "There is much more you need to learn. The powers that lie within you are awakening, and soon the galaxy will be in danger. But with your help, we can ensure that balance is restored." Kale's heart pounded in his chest, but something inside him knew that he couldn't turn away. He had come here seeking knowledge, seeking discovery. But now he realized that what he sought was far more than he could have ever imagined. His future, and the future of the galaxy, was bound to Zara, to the Valari, and to the ancient forces that had been hidden for so long. "I will come with you," Kale said, his voice filled with resolve. "Show me what I need to do." Zara's eyes softened, a hint of approval in her gaze. "Together we will uncover the truth, and together we will change the fate of the stars." As they stood there, side by side, the winds of Valara whispered through the trees, carrying with them the promise of a journey that would take them farther than they had ever imagined. The following days were a blur for Kale. The planet of Valara, with its vibrant forests, glowing rivers, and skies filled with swirling lights, became both his new home and the place where everything he thought he knew about the universe began to unravel. He had come here as an explorer, eager to learn about a new species and their ways of life. But now, after everything Zara had shared with him, his purpose had shifted completely. There was something deeper at work, something beyond the boundaries of his understanding. Zara led him to a hidden temple deep within the heart of Valara's largest forest. The path was not one Kale could have found on his own. The trees twisted and turned in ways that felt almost unnatural, and the air was filled with an otherworldly hum. It was as though the very planet was alive, guiding them toward something ancient, something waiting to be discovered. The temple was unlike any structure Kale had ever seen. It was carved directly into the stone of a massive cliffside, with intricate patterns etched into its surface. The architecture seemed to blend seamlessly with the landscape, as if it had grown out of the earth itself. The entrance was flanked by towering statues of beings Kale could only assume were ancient Valari. Their eyes, though stone, seemed to watch him as he stepped forward, every footfall sending an eerie echo through the quiet. "This is where it all began," Zara said softly, her voice carrying an emotion Kale couldn't quite place. There was reverence in her tone, as if this place held memories and secrets too precious to speak of lightly. "Here, the Valari were chosen. Here we first learned of our connection to the stars." Kale nodded, though his mind was racing. He had so many questions, so many things he needed to understand. But as he followed Zara into the temple, the weight of his own uncertainty pressed heavily on him. He had never been one to feel lost, but now, standing in front of this ancient, sacred place, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something monumental. Inside the temple, the air was thick with an energy that Kale could almost feel on his skin. The walls were adorned with murals depicting the history of the Valari, figures in flowing robes, their hands raised toward the stars. Each image told a story, but the details were lost on Kale. The symbols were alien to him, their meaning just beyond his reach. "This is the Hall of the Stars," Zara explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "It is here that the prophecy was written. It is here that your ancestors first spoke of the one who would come from the stars to unlock the power that lies dormant within this planet." Kale's heart pounded in his chest. The weight of her words settled around him like a heavy cloak. This was what he had been searching for. This was the reason he had been called to Valara, why he had crossed the stars and landed on this strange world. He was the one from the prophecy. He was the key to unlocking the ancient power the Valari had sworn to protect. Zara moved toward the center of the room, where a massive stone pedestal stood. Atop the pedestal was a crystal, its surface glowing softly in the dim light of the temple. It was unlike anything Kale had ever seen, clear, yet filled with swirling colors that seemed to shift and change with every passing second. "This is the heart of Valara," Zara said, her gaze fixed on the crystal. "It is the source of the power that sustains our people, our world. It is said to be the heart of the universe itself, a connection to the stars that no one can fully understand. But you, Kale, you are the one who can unlock its secrets." Kale stepped forward, drawn to the crystal as though it was calling to him. As his fingers brushed the surface, a surge of energy shot through him, overwhelming his senses. He gasped, his body trembling from the intensity of the feeling. The room seemed to shift around him, the walls fading into darkness as a blinding light enveloped him. He closed his eyes, but the light continued to pulse, filling his mind with images, visions of distant stars, of ancient battles fought in the depths of space, of beings that moved between worlds. For a moment, Kale thought he might lose himself in the visions. But then, just as suddenly as it had come, the light faded and he was left standing in the center of the temple, breathless and disoriented. What was that?" Kale asked, his voice shaking. Zara stepped forward, her face filled with a mixture of awe and concern. "It has begun," she said softly. "The connection has been made. The power within you is awakening." Kale looked at her, his mind spinning. The visions, the light, the energy, everything felt so real, so intense. He had always known that his connection to Zara was unique, but now he understood that it went beyond anything he had ever imagined. He wasn't just a visitor on this world. He was a part of it, a part of something much larger than himself. "I don't understand," Kale said, still struggling to process everything. "What does this mean? What am I supposed to do?" Zara smiled, a sad, knowing smile that seemed to carry the weight of generations. "You are not just here to unlock the power, Kale. You are here to protect it, to ensure that it does not fall into the wrong hands. There are forces in the galaxy that would do anything to control the heart of Valara, to use its power for their own gain. And now that you are connected to it, they will come for you." Kale's stomach clenched. He had known that there were dangers in space, that not every alien species was as peaceful as the Valari. But this was different. He wasn't just an explorer anymore. He was a protector, a guardian of something far greater than himself. The weight of his responsibility pressed down on him like a heavy stone. "What am I supposed to do?" Kale repeated, his voice filled with uncertainty. "How can I protect something this powerful?" Zara stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You must trust in yourself, Kale, trust in the power within you. The ancient prophecy spoke of a time when the one from the stars would rise, when the connection would be made, and the power would be unlocked. That time is now, but it will not be easy. The path ahead will be filled with danger. You will have to make difficult choices, sacrifices." Kale looked into her eyes, the intensity of her gaze matching his own. There was no turning back now. He had already crossed the threshold, and there was no going back to the life he had known before. Whatever this power was, whatever this destiny he had inherited, it was his to embrace. "I'll do whatever it takes," Kale said, his voice steady now, filled with a sense of purpose. "I won't let this power fall into the wrong hands. I will protect Valara, I will protect you." Zara's expression softened, a flicker of warmth in her violet eyes. "You have made the right choice, Kale. Together we will keep the balance. Together we will face whatever comes." As they stood there in the heart of the temple, Kale could feel the weight of his new role settling around him. But with Zara by his side, he knew he wasn't alone. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The connection between them was undeniable, and Kale could sense that it was only the beginning of something far greater. The stars above Valara seemed to shimmer with newfound brilliance, as if they, too, recognized the significance of what had just transpired. Kale's journey had only just begun, but the future, his future, was now irrevocably bound to this alien world and its ancient, powerful heart. With one final glance at Zara, Kale made a silent promise to himself. He would protect the heart of Valara, protect this world, and ensure that its power would never fall into the wrong hands. The path ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was ready, for Zara, for Valara, and for the stars themselves.